the rise in temperature causes or it shifts the growing pattern of the crop. So if the phytoplankton itself gets destroyed completely because of the UVB radiation, then it will completely alter the food chain and the food web. So global warming is one of the main aspects of climate change. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to today's session on Environmental Studies for second semester B.Ca. I am Dr. Divya, Environmental Studies faculty, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So in today's session, let us start with a new unit, that is Unit 6, Environmental Policies and Practices. So under this unit, in today's session, let us concentrate on climate change and what are the consequences of climate change which results in global warming, and also we shall learn about acid rain and ozone layer depletion. So talking about climate change. So what is climate change? So climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. So any change that occurs in the climate because of any shift or changes that occur in the weather pattern is termed as climate change. So talking about the consequences of climate changes. So climate change, I told you, it is nothing but change in temperature and change in the weather also. So an increase in the temperature or a decrease in the temperature, any changes occurring in the rainfall, the winds, all these can lead to climate change. So changes in rainfall pattern can lead to the shortage of water, that is, it can lead to drought condition, and also if there is excess of rain, it can lead to flooding condition. And changes in temperature can lead to melting of glaciers, and these melting of glaciers, they can increase the water level in the water bodies, therefore causing flooding. And not just that, melting of glaciers also carry away the soil, that is the topmost soil, into nearby streams and lakes and other water bodies, thereby causing soil erosion. Next, the rise in temperature causes or it shifts the growing pattern of the crop. Say for example, earlier it would be like from this particular month to this particular month, it would be a rainy season. After that, the winter, then summer. So that would continue like that, and it was very accurate. But nowadays, because of the pollution, because of human intervention, a lot of changes in the environment, a lot of climatic variations are occurring, resulting in the rise in the temperature. So this rise in the temperature will reduce the rainfall, or it will limit the availability of water. Therefore, the farmers will have to change their season of crop cultivation, which can lead to shifting in the growing season of the crop, and this shifting will eventually lead to the food security. It will affect the food security. So when we are not able to grow crops properly in a good rainy season, and during the rainy season if the rainfall is very scanty, then imagine the yield of the crop will become very less. Therefore, it will result in scarcity of food for the people as well. And the increase in temperature or the rising temperature, it can change the distribution of disease vectors. So say for example, in rainy season we have a particular set of diseases. In winter we have a particular set of diseases. In rainy season especially the waterborne diseases are more, and including apart from that malaria, dengue, chikungunya, all that arises, right? But nowadays the climate pattern has shifted to such an extent that throughout the year we have all sorts of diseases circulating. So therefore rising temperature can change the distribution of disease vectors, wherein it can put more and more people to risk from diseases such as malaria and dengue fever, and it will potentially severely increase the rate of extinction of many habitat and species also. Apart from that, the temperature can lead to the extinction of a wide variety of crops and animal species also. And climate change, ultimately, it can cause global warming. So what is global warming? Heating up of the earth, right? So therefore, climate change can also cause global warming. So how does climate change cause global warming? Why I have taken this topic is because in the syllabus particularly they have mentioned about global warming and how the climate exactly affects the global warming. So how does climate change cause global warming? So global warming is one of the main aspects of climate change. So climate change can cause flooding, it can cause drought, it can cause the spread of new diseases, it can change the pattern of growing season of the crops, and also it can cause global warming. So likewise, global warming is one of the aspects of climate change. So global warming refers to the rise in the global temperature. So why there is a rise in the global temperature? Again here the global temperature or the earth's temperature rises or increases because of we human beings only. The main reason is we burn a lot of fossil fuels, we burn a lot of hydrocarbon containing products like petrol, diesel, etc. So all these will result in the emission of greenhouse gases. So about greenhouse gases we have studied in the previous sessions as well, right? Like we have methane, carbon dioxide, all these content will increase in the atmosphere. So when they increase in the atmosphere, they will increase the temperature of the earth, resulting in global warming. So burning of fossil fuels, they emit carbon dioxide, they emit methane, they emit nitrogen dioxide, and these three are the important greenhouse gases which brings about the heating up of the earth or the greenhouse effect leading to global warming. So a rise in these greenhouse gases, it will cause a rise in the amount of heat that is liberated from the sun. So we all know that heat is liberated from the sun which enters into the earth's atmosphere, wherein a part of the heat is absorbed by the earth and the remaining part is given back through the atmosphere, right? But here what happens here is, because of the increase in the greenhouse gases, whatever heat is liberated by the sun that enters into the earth will not be sent back. It will accumulate inside the earth itself, causing the heating of the earth, or one word to say, or in a word to say, it causes global warming. So therefore this heat that would normally be radiated back into space will not get radiated back. It will get accumulated in the earth itself, which will lead to increase in the heat and therefore leading to global warming or leading to climate, therefore leading to climate changes. So if the heat of the earth increases, of course rainfall can increase because of excessive evaporation, but even if rainfall increases also, whatever water falls on the ground will get evaporated very fast, therefore leading to a lot of climatic changes, and the climatic change increases the average global temperature, therefore leading to global warming. So this is how global warming can occur. So that is the burning of fossil fuels, which releases carbon dioxide, which releases methane, which releases nitrous oxide or nitrogen oxide into the atmosphere, will result in the heating up of the atmosphere, which will change the climate pattern, and that change in the climate pattern can further increase the heat of the earth, therefore leading to global warming. So this is how the climate change can cause global warming. Next, talking about ozone layer. So ozone is nothing but it is made up of three molecules of oxygen. So this layer is very important for the earth, right, and for the inhabitants of the earth, because ozone layer is the one that protects the earth from the entry of the UV radiations that is given out by the sun. So ozone is very important layer around the earth. So what is this ozone layer exactly? So the ozone layer or ozone shield, it is a region of the earth's stratosphere. So the earth's stratosphere, in the earth's stratosphere, that is a part of the atmosphere wherein the ozone layer is present. and that ozone layer will absorb most of the sun's ultraviolet radiation, therefore protecting the inhabitants of the earth. Let's study what are the reasons for the ozone layer depletion. Now I told you why ozone layer is important, because it will prevent the entry of the ultraviolet rays into the earth's atmosphere. Therefore it will prevent a lot of problems that can occur to the living organisms in the earth. Not just that, it can also cause problem to the non-living organisms also, such as monuments, buildings, statues, and many other things. So what are the causes for ozone layer depletion? So ozone layer depletion means there because of excessive use of certain chemicals and all that, a hole will be created in the ozone layer, and through that hole the UV rays can enter into the Earth's atmosphere. So what are the causes for this particular ozone depletion? Let's look into. So the major causes of ozone depletion are chlorofluorocarbon gases. So these chlorofluorocarbons are usually used in refrigerators, they are used in foaming agents, they are used in manufacturing plastics, they are used in fire extinguishing agents, and they are used in some of the solvents which are used for freezing food, and they are used in some of the cleaners for electronic components. Then they are used in some of the solvents, aerosol, propellants, and also they are used in the manufacturing of foamed plastics. So all these products that I've mentioned here, especially the refrigerators, and earlier the tube lights that were used, in olden days the tube lights that were used also were said to release chlorofluorocarbons, but nowadays we don't find those tube lights because all those tube lights have been replaced by the LED bulbs and LED lights and all that. But that was also one of the reasons for chlorofluorocarbon release, and the major reason was refrigerators. But nowadays we have refrigerators which claims that it doesn't release chlorofluorocarbon to the atmosphere, because it is one of the main chemical that actually causes depletion of the ozone layer. So apart from chlorofluorocarbon, there is release of some chemical compounds which contain chlorine or bromine, and these chlorine and bromine are present in a lot of chemical compounds that are used for industrial purposes. Even our cleaning material that we use in the house also contains this chlorine. So all this can also enter into the Earth's atmosphere and cause ozone depletion. And there are some nitrogenous compounds also which can cause ozone depletion, and there are some compounds which are called as halogens which are used in fire extinguishers. These halogens can also cause the depletion of the ozone layer. Then methyl chloroform, which is used in adhesives, aerosol sprays and all that. Even the sprays that we use, the deodorants, those mosquito repellents, all those sprays are also said to contain ozone depleting substances. So here methyl chloroform, which is used in adhesives, that is some of the sticking agents, then aerosol sprays and all that, they also can cause global warming. And some of the hydrofluorocarbons that are used in fire extinguishers, which are used in air conditions, which are conditioners, which are used in preparing some of the solvents, that is chemicals, they also cause ozone depletion. So these are the different chemicals that cause ozone depletion, and among all these, chlorofluorocarbon is the main chemical that is responsible for ozone depletion. Next, what happens if the ozone layer gets depleted or any hole occurs in the ozone layer? That is, what is the consequences of ozone layer depletion we shall look into. So, ozone layer depletion can increase the amount of UVB, that is ultraviolet B radiation, that reaches the surface of the earth, and it can cause, and this ultraviolet radiation is very harmful, especially ultraviolet B. If it reaches the earth's atmosphere, or if it enters into the earth, and if it falls on the human beings, or if the humans are exposed to it, it can cause non-melanoma skin cancer, it can cause malignant melanoma skin cancer, and also it can cause problems in the eyes, wherein it can cause cataracts to the eye also. And this UVB radiation, it can also affect the physiological and developmental process of plants. Like plants, a lot of biochemical pathways take place in plants if the plant has to process food and survive and all that, and those plants even we will consume. Now if those plants absorb this UV radiation, it will alter the complete biochemical and physiological process of the plant, therefore retarding the growth of the plant or completely eliminating the plant from the earth itself. So that is also one of the major reasons for the entry of UV or major consequences of the entry of UVB radiation into the Earth's atmosphere. Next, exposure to solar UVB radiation, it can affect the orientation and the movement, that is motility. Orientation and motility of phytoplankton. So phytoplanktons are small plant-like creatures that are found on the freshwater bodies. So these phytoplanktons are very important in the aquatic food web. Not just aquatic, in general they are very important in the food chain and the food web, because the phytoplanktons will be fed by the fishes. The fishes will be eaten by the larger fishes by some aquatic birds. Like that it continues. So if the phytoplankton itself gets destroyed completely because of the UVB radiation, then it will completely alter the food chain and the food web. And also the depletion of the ozone layer can also cause melting of ice caps and glaciers, which will result in increase in water level. Therefore, increase in water level can lead to flooding and all that, and a lot of problem to the people as well as agriculture also. So these are the consequences of ozone layer depletion. Next, let's talk about acid rain. So what is acid rain? So any form of precipitation, that is fog, mist, rain, etc. So any form of precipitation which becomes acidic or which is filled with acidic components such as sulfuric or nitric acid, and if that precipitate or if that snow or rainfall or mist or fog falls to the ground from the atmosphere in wet or dry forms, it can lead to acid rain, or it is nothing but acid rain. So therefore acid rain is nothing but the precipitates such as rain, snow, fog, hailstones, or even dust that has become acidic because it contains sulfuric or nitric acid, and if that falls onto the ground, it is called as the acid rain. So any form of precipitation, so in simple words to say, any form of precipitation that has become acidic containing sulfuric and nitric acid, if it falls on the ground, then we call it as the acid rain. So let's understand how is acid rain formed. So when fossil fuels such as coal, oil and natural gas are burnt, a lot of toxic chemicals are released out of it, especially sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide. They are released into the atmosphere. So apart from that, there are some emissions or smoke coming from factories, cars, or from heating boilers. When they come in contact with the water that is present in the atmosphere, they can come down as acid rain. And apart from these emissions that are given out from the factories and all that, they contain nitrogen oxides, they contain sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, which mixes with the atmospheric water and they get converted into sulfurous acid, nitric acid and sulfuric acid. So these come down whenever it rains, they come down to the earth in the form of acid rain, and this process, that is formation of acid rain, can also occur naturally because of volcanic eruption. So during volcanic eruption also a lot of smoke enters into containing sulfur, nitrogen, etc. enters into the earth's atmosphere and they can come down as acid rain. So therefore that is how acid rain is formed. So this fossil fuels that are burnt or the emissions, that is the smoke from industries, from boilers, from cars, etc. and smoke from volcanic eruptions, they all contain sulfur, nitrogen, etc., when it mixes with the atmospheric water, it forms sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and so on, and they can come down as acid rain. So this is how acid rain is formed. So what are the effects of acid rain? So acid rain can wash away all the nutrients which are required for the growth and survival of the plants, because acid rain can alter the pH of the soil. It can alter the nutrient content in the soil, therefore retarding or hindering the growth and survival of the plants. And acid rain has a huge effect on agriculture because it alters the nutrient composition or the mineral composition of the soil. And apart from that, acid rain can also cause a lot of respiratory issues in animals as well as in human beings. And not just that, acid rain can pose a problem to the aquatic ecosystem because it can alter the chemical composition of water also. And therefore, if the aquatic ecosystem is altered, if pH of the water also gets altered, then it poses a threat to all the aquatic organisms living in the water. Therefore, the entire food chain itself will get altered because of acid rain. And acid rain can cause corrosion of or rusting of water pipes, and when these water pipes rust, what happens? Heavy metals from the pipes can leach into the water. Heavy metals such as iron, lead and copper can leach into the drinking water, and if this drinking water is consumed by human beings, then it will cause a lot of ill effects in human beings. And apart from that, acid rain can also damage the buildings and monuments made up of stones and metals. The best example that we can take of is Taj Mahal, which was made using the marble. So earlier the color of Taj Mahal was pure white, but now the color has changed. It is because of the acid rain. And also it is said that the Statue of Liberty, the color of Statue of Liberty is also changed because of acid rain itself, because Statue of Liberty is nothing but made of metal. So these are the effects of acid rain. So this was about the session wherein we learnt about climate change. We learned how climate change can cause global warming, and also we learnt about the ozone depletion, the acid rain, and how all these, that is global warming, ozone depletion and acid rain, can affect or pose problems to human health, also to a lot of other things that are there in this environment. So this was about the session. In the next coming session, let us learn about environmental laws. So there are some laws which they have specifically mentioned in your syllabus. So we shall learn about the laws, that is how they were amended, when it came into practice, and what are the rules and regulations under those laws. All that we will study under the next session. So we shall meet again in the coming session. Thank you.